In the deepest recesses of space, a dark force approaches Dreamland. This is a being who was created in loneliness, without a true name other than that which it is made up of, Dark Matter. Despite desiring to be happy like the other creatures it observes, the positive emotions never come to the surface, instead finding itself feeling jealous. Jealous of the many happy creatures of Popstar with their many friends. Dark Matter also finds in itself another emotion, wrath. Dark Matter comes down upon the Rainbow Isles, a series of 7 islands on Popstar's surface, and begins covering them in a dark haze. The sword-wielding warrior finds the place's self-proclaimed king and seeps into his mind, putting DDD under its complete control. It also destroys the rainbows that bridge the gaps between the islands, isolating the people. Popstar will never again be happy and colorful, so long as Dark Matter retains control. This is where we open up on the events of Kirby's Dream Land 2, originally released on the Game Boy in 1995. As usual, the game stars Kirby, this time alongside 3 animal buddies, Rick, Kind, and Coop, traveling the Rainbow Islands to save the 7 rainbow bridges, and stop the darkness encroaching upon Dreamland. While technically labeled as Kirby's Dream Land 2, as we can see based on the size of the playlist as it is now, this is not, in fact, the second Kirby game. This game barely serves as a sequel to Dream Land 1 at all, instead forming the first part in what is colloquially known as the Dark Matter Trilogy. I'll try to plant the seeds for this game's sequels within my explanation of its story, so keep an eye out for those. And if you want to see the explanations for those further games when those videos release, be sure to subscribe to the channel. This game doesn't have many story beats throughout most of its runtime. The vast majority of the game is taken up by Kirby and their allies traveling the Rainbow Isles and taking on the various bosses. On their quest, Kirby and friends need to work together to collect 7 artifacts known as the Rainbow Drops. It's a little unclear if they're meant to be teardrops, water droplets, or what, but they each hold portions of the island's powers. Each color-coded island has 1 drop, hidden behind a puzzle that makes sure you fully understand Kirby's copy abilities and those of the animal friends. Collecting all 7 is required for facing the true final boss of the game. The first of these islands is Grassland. Despite its name, the island seems to be associated with the color yellow. This is counter to the game's box art, which shows an area with similar geological features colored green, with grass. The manual states that Kirby lives in the Rainbow Islands, which naturally would place their house here at the start of the game. However, this would imply that most of the Superstar Ultra subgames also take place on these islands, which feels really unlikely to me, so it probably isn't the same house as we've seen elsewhere. Rick also seems to live here, as he's the only animal buddy available in this first world. This island also sees a return of the classic Kirby boss, Wispy Woods, who seems to be suffering from terrible allergy symptoms, hence the mask and the large glasses. This may imply that the island's yellow coloring comes from scattered pollen, which would make the tree's allergies act up. The next island is Big Forest, associated with the color green. It appears to be the home of Ku. Its boss is Nruff, a large pig-like creature, and the Nellies, which appear to be a group of smaller Druffs. The Kirby Japanese Twitter released this image on Mother's Day 2019, implying that Nruff is the mother of the various Nellies. Level 3 is Ripple Field, which, despite being called a field, is mostly flooded, and as such associated with the color blue. It seems to be home to the final animal friend, Kind. The level's boss is the electric anglerfish, Sweet Stuff. The Indigo level is Iceberg, protected by a powerful Ice Dragon. Ice Dragon is probably the most prominent original boss from this game, outside Dark Matter itself. Red Canyon, the 5th level, is a mountainous area associated with the color that I think seems pretty obvious. This level sees another returning boss from previous games, this time Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright from Kirby's Adventure in Nightmare in Dreamland. I discussed them more in the video on those games, so go check that out if you want to see more detail on them. Cloudy Park looks rather similar to Death Mountain from Ocarina of Time, with a ring of clouds surrounded by a peak of an orange mountain. True to form, this cloudy stage is protected by the cloudy boss Krako, who starts as a Krako Jr. before powering up to his more infamous true form. The final level is Dark Castle, a violet-hued fortress where Dedede sits, snoozing away. Unlike the other islands, this one seems to float above the water, waiting ominously in the sky, surrounded by storm clouds. Within it, every mid-boss from throughout the game is refought, eventually leading to our intrepid heroes ascending to the building's roof, and for a fight to begin again between Kirby and Dedede. But it's clear throughout the whole battle that something isn't quite right, as the king seems to be jumping between pure rage and deep slumber, his body moving like a puppet on strings. Assuming Kirby collected the 7 rainbow drops throughout the game, upon defeating Dedede, the shards formed together to create the Rainbow Sword, a powerful weapon made up of the power of the islands. This combined force finally forces the black-hearted dark matter out of the king, and Kirby chases the fiendish fighter into Popstar's atmosphere. The two clash swords, waging a duel of primal elements high above the planet. But, as is always the case in these games, the power of light triumphed over the darkness, defeating the Dark Swordsman, though that wasn't the end of the battle. Upon this initial defeat, Dark Matter shed its false body and showed Kirby its true form. The form he takes on here is important, as it's one we see again and again throughout the Kirby series. A large orb-shaped mass surrounding a singular, oversized eye. There are many bosses in the Kirby series that mirror that description, many of whom are linked to Dark Matter in some way. I'll be sure to bring up their shape whenever we see it in the future. But even its true form was not enough to defeat Kirby, and Dark Matter is expelled from Popstar. Kirby reforms the bridges, bringing the islands back together, while Dark Matter, defeated but not destroyed entirely, plots its revenge. That's the end of the events of this game, but far from the end of the Dark Matter Trilogy. Though it'll be a while before we talk about that, since, in true Kirby fashion, we have a bunch more spin-offs to discuss between now and then. Before we go, there are 2 more characters introduced in this game that I want to discuss. The first of these is Gooey. He's a strange little creature that I can best describe as a Dragon Quest slime with a huge tongue. He appears inside animal friend bags, when the bag was supposed to give you an animal friend you already had equipped. Gooey is actually another being formed of Dark Matter, who has managed to overcome the limits the villainous Dark Matter has, which is probably why he was imprisoned. He will go on to become a close ally of Kirby, including having a starring role in Dreamland 3. The other character I want to mention is this female slime, who doesn't actually exist. Let me explain. Much like Gooey, this lady slime appears when opening a bag that's supposed to contain an animal friend Kirby already has equipped, though she appears at a far lower rate than Gooey does. She will also restore Kirby's health, and is required to find for 100% in-game completion. That said, she only appeared in the localized versions of Kirby's Dream Land 2, as in the original game, her job was taken by Chao, a girl from the Japan-exclusive Famicom adventure game Famicom Fairy Tales Yuyuki, which is based on Journey to the West. You may have seen her as a spirit in Smash Ultimate, and yeah, that's probably about the only place. This game doesn't really get talked about very much. I know it seems weird that a crossover character is canon to this game, but if you think that, then you clearly haven't played Dreamland 3. Also, it's unclear what exactly the rainbow drops even are. They're clearly somehow tied to the rainbow bridges between the islands, as well as to the islands themselves, as one drop is found hidden away on each island. They don't really return in later games, though the Rainbow Sword, which seems to be made out of them, does. I'm going to place this game at the end of our current timeline. I feel like we should put the 3 Dark Matter Trilogy games as close to in sequence as possible, and due to my ratings of Meta Knight as a character, which is probably worth yet another spin-off video to explain, I feel like this needs to go after Revenge of Meta Knight. I'll put it after Milky Way Wishes as well, just to keep the Superstar Ultra games as close together as possible. It could be argued that Kirby's Adventures in Space are what drew Dark Matter to Popstar, but honestly, I'm just doing it for the sake of simplicity. Let's leave it off there for now. I have some more videos to plan for and many, many more spin-offs to play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all soon.